Good morning, kids. It's Mr. Agee here, and we're going to talk about our math lesson today for Monday, September 28th. For this lesson, you're going to need a pencil, and you are going to need your green workbook. We're going to be doing the Lesson 19 problem set, and I'd like for you to follow along with me and record in your green notebook the things that I'm recording as I go through this lesson. If you don't have your green workbook with you and a pencil, pause the video and get it now. Okay, for today, we are going to be talking about the distributive property again. We've talked about the distributive property with multiplication, where you have a bigger problem and you break it into smaller problems, solve the smaller problems, and then put the answers to those smaller problems together to find the answer to the bigger problem. Well, you can do the same thing when you distribute in division. So these array models should be familiar to you if you are remembering in multiplication, they divide an array up into two sections where they'll have a bigger problem here and they'll break it into two smaller problems. They do the same thing for division. So we're near the end of the work in this unit, and you can expect as we get to the end of each unit, the work is probably the most challenging that it's been up to this point. So don't worry, don't be afraid. If you're not getting it at first, just keep trying. The more you try, the more you do, the better you get at it. So let's talk about this. In number one, good readers, good mathematicians, we make sure we read all the words on the page and understand exactly what we're supposed to be doing. I'm going to take it off that drawing feature. I don't know why it's doing that. For number one, we're labeling the array. So label the array, then fill in the blanks to make true number sentences. In other words, solve the equations or balance out the equations. Here in A, we've got 36 divided by 3 equals blank. And we see some other equations down here, 30 divided by 3 and 6 divided by 3. And we know that these have to be related somehow to 36 divided by 3. Well, if you take a look, what they've done here is they've kept the divided by 3, so you've got 3 circles in each row, but they've taken the 36 total and they've broken it up into 30 and 6. The idea is they want to give you two easier problems. You can find two easier problems to solve the bigger problem. So they're taking the total and dividing it or breaking it into 30 and 6. So if you look at 30 and 6, when you put them together, you get the total of 36. And they divided up the array so that the darker circles are 30 and the empty circles are 6. So now we're looking at 30 divided by 3. Well, how many groups of 3 do we have when we divide 30 up into threes? So we've got one group, two groups, three groups, four groups, five groups, six groups, seven groups, eight groups, nine groups, 10 groups. So I can use my text box here to put in a 10. And then how many groups of 3 do I have when I've got 6 total items? One group, two groups. Okay, so 6 divided into groups of 3 gives me 2 total groups. So now I can put these two together and say, okay, when I break up 36 divided by 3 into 30 divided by 3 and 6 divided by 3, I get 10 and 2. And when I put those together, I get 12. Okay. If you didn't understand it, that's okay. The more times we do it, the better you're going to get at it. 25 divided by 5. Okay, so they're taking this total of 25 and they're putting it into an array of 5 rows of 5. So I've got 5 circles, a third row of 5 circles, a fourth row of 5 circles, and a fifth row of 5 circles. And they're thinking, okay, we know how to count by fives, and most of us are familiar with the 4 times 5 equals 20, or we can even count on our fingers, 5, 10, 15, 20. That's 4 groups of 5 here in this top section, and I've got one group of 5 left over. So they're taking this 25 and they're saying, okay, I know if I divide this 25 up, if I break it into its parts, I can do 20 and 5. And so they take 20 divided by 5 here equals 4, and then 5 divided by 5. So a group of 5, I'm sorry, one total number of items as 5 divided into a group of 5 gives me one group of 5. So I've got 20 divided by 5 here is 4, 5 divided by 5 here is 1, and when I look at the entire equation, 25 divided by 5, I'm going to put these two quotients together. 4 and 1 gives me 5. All right, now we've got 20. Oh, I've got to go up and make sure I answer questions here. So 36 divided by 3 is 12, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. Now down here, 28 divided by 4. Okay, so you see we've got our array, groups of 4 with 28 total items. 1 row of 4, 2 rows of 4, 3 rows of 4, 4 rows of 4, 5 rows of 4. They've broken 20 divided by 4 into 5 rows of 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 5 there. And then they still have to get up to 28. So we've got another row of 4 here brings me to 24. And then another row of 4 brings me to 28. So I've still got 8 left over here. One row of 4, another row of 4 gives me 8 total. Divided by 4, how many total rows do I have? I have 2 total rows or groups. So I put my, I've got a new blank to fill out here. 28 divided by 4 is going to take me, they divide this 28 into a 20 and here into 8. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. We solved here. We've got 5 groups of 4. And then down lower here, we've got 8 total items divided by into groups of 4 gives me 2 groups. So 5 and 2 gives me a total of 7. So 28 divided by 4 equals 7. I can check my work here just to make sure that I've got 7 groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of 4 make 28 total. Okay, so you can see the array tool, the array model is a very good tool to use for multiplication, we already know, but also for division. So when I'm dividing 32 total items into groups of 4, I can break this 32 into a smaller number. So how many groups do I have here? Well, let's count them. 1 row of 4, 2 rows of 4, 3 rows of 4, 4 rows of 4, 5 rows of 4. So 5 rows of 4 is going to give me 5, 10, 15, 20. So I've got 20 divided by 4, 20 divided by 4, and that gave me 5 groups. And now I'm taking this many total. Well, I've got 4. I can use my count by 8, 12. So I've got 12 total items. And I better make sure, does 20 and 12, when I add 12 to 20, do I get 32? I sure do. From 20, I go up 10 to 30, and then 2 more makes 32. So now 12 divided by 4, when you put 12 into groups of 4, how many groups do you have? Well, I've got 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. There we go. Put in my 3, and I've got 32 divided by 4. I broke it into 20. I broke 32 total items into 20 items and 12 items. And when I do 20 divided by 4, I end up with 5. And when I do 12 divided by 4, I end up with 3. And then down here, I'm looking at the quotient for the bigger problem. 32 divided by 4 is the same thing as 5 and 3, which is 8. And up here, I want to make sure I've got 8 rows of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 32 divided by 4 is 8. That's pretty challenging. If you followed along, hopefully you are starting to get it more and more as we use the language that we're trying to learn. And you were able to follow along. If you needed to stop and start, or if you didn't get it all, you can go back in the video and make sure you get it. And as we go through this, we're looking at different ways to look at distributing or the distributive property for division. So here we've got the bigger problems. It says match the equal expressions. So I'm going to take the buckets and match it with the equal expression that is down on the beach ball. So the idea is if it's divided by 2, that's not going to change. So this first bucket here can't be this first ball or the second ball because we're dividing these into groups of 3. So these 2 balls go with the divided by 3 buckets, okay? The back 2 balls, the last 2 balls, are divided by 2, so they go with the buckets that have divided by 2 on them. Okay, so we're looking at these 2 balls here. Which one makes sense to go to 24 divided by 2? Well, 24, when I break up 24, I have to make sure that the total in these 2 problems add up to 24. So I'm looking at the first term here, 20 and 6. Nope, that's 26. And when I look over here, I can see 26 divided by 2. Here I've got 20 and 4 for a total of 24. So I'm going to use my line tool here to match up 24 divided by 2 over to here, and I already decided this one makes sense because it's the only one left for divided by 2. So I'm looking at now a total of 36 to be divided and a total of 39 to be divided. So I'm looking at the first number here to see which one adds up to 36 and which one adds up to 39, and you should see 30 and 6 right here and 30 and 9 right here. Next, we've got a word problem. So Nell draws the array below to find the answer to 24 divided by 2. Explain Nell's strategy. Well, let's look at how many rows of 2 she made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there's 6 rows of 2. And here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of 2. So we've got 12 total items on the top and 12 total items on the bottom right here. So what they did here was they broke up this 24 into, or what she did is she divided it into 12 and 12. So she divided this top section into 12 divided by 2 equals 6 rows. And then she did, just to make it easy on herself, she did the exact same problem here. 12 divided, why it's doing that, 12 divided by 2 equals 6. Okay, and now when I put these things together, I can do the big problem. 24 divided by 2 is the same thing as 12 divided by 2 plus 12 divided by 2. Okay, and then down below, I see that that's the same thing as 6 plus 6. And so 24 divided by 2 equals 12, 6 plus 6. So her strategy, if I wanted to put it into words, she broke up 24 items into 2 groups of 12 items. She divided the 12 items into groups of, let's do 6 groups of 2, and then added 6 and 6. She added 6 and 6 to find 12 total. All right, your assignment. You need to go into the math folder from the Schoology homepage. Your assignment is to go into the math folder for this week, and you see an assignment here. You're doing the lesson 19 homework. You click into here. You got to make sure you open the assignment with Cami. When you open the assignment with Cami, the lesson 19 homework will show up. And the lesson 19 homework is just like the problems that we just did, maybe even a little bit easier, but still, don't get frustrated. This is kind of challenging. I want you to work on this for 15 to 20 minutes and submit your work. Good luck, do your best. You can do it.